In this video, I'm going to give a review on several Loomis rods that I received from American Legacy Fishing earlier this summer. Who's followed the channel for a long time know I'm a mixed bag. I'm kind of the middle of the road kind of guy when it comes to rods, reels, and things like that. But in this case, I wanted to play with a little bit higher end because if I'm going to talk about rods and reels, I need to be able to talk about all kinds of rod and reels. Now, in the hierarchy of the Loomis rods, you have the top of the line, the creme de la creme, the Lamborghini Ferrari, that's the Conquest. Then you have the NRX Plus, then you have the GLX, then you have the IMX Pro, and then you have the newer GCX lineup. Now I'm going to skip the GLX for a moment, and I'll come back to that in a minute, because I want to jump into talking about the IMX Pro bladed jig rod, because I want to talk about Loomis's multi-layer technology. So let me get my TRC cover off of here and take a look at this IMX Pro bladed jig rod. Now I've got two different reels that I fish on this rod. One's the Diawazillion SV. It's the 2021 version that came out last year and a 6.3 gear ratio, and also a Corrado 150 MGL and a 7.4 gear ratio. I'm still trying to decide which speed that I like and which reel that I really like for this. The technology in this Diawazillion is incredible, and right now it's probably the reel I'm going to stay with unless I put this on a crankbait rod. But for now, I use the 150 and it performed flawless. Now the only con that I have for this, it doesn't have the same as the NRX Plus. The screws are exposed up here and you have like this rigid twist knob where you rest your fingers. I still like the one that they use on NRX Plus. Now that being said, I'm not going to get into the stuff with all the guides. They're top-notch quality Fuji guides. Most people don't care about that, but let's talk about why this makes a great bladed jig rod. I have been on the hunt for a great chatterbait rod for the last few years. From the Mojo Bass Glass to the Victory Rip and Chatter. I've played with the Lew's Thunder Cricket rod. I've played with the Dobbin 736 CB Glass, the Dobbin 735 CB Glass. I've wanted to try a broad range of rods for what I felt gave me the best hookup ratio with chatterbaits. Chatterbaits and jackhammers are funky when it comes to bass fishing. You can get that magical bite, but sometimes if you can't keep that fish from jumping out of the water, they will spit your chatterbait. You can't really set the hook real hard in them, or that blade will blow the bass's mouth open. Sometimes they're just sucking it in and holding on to it, and if they get into the air where they can open their mouth, then you can pull that chatterbait out and not get a hook in them. So parabolic action is what keeps a lot of those fish pinned until you can get them in the net. And that's why a lot of people like either medium heavy or heavy action glass rods versus complete graphite rods, because it gives it more of that bend. It gives you the backbones you need, but it keeps you from blowing that bass's mouth open. Now let me tell you how Loomis solved that problem, and they did it by what they call their multi-taper design. So multi-taper design is best described as a series of micro tapers within the overall taper of the rod. It's unique, it's a proprietary process that allows Loomis to use more material on potential breakpoints and less material everywhere else. To accomplish this, they manufactured a custom rolling table, and it's the only one in existence today. The result is a catalog of precisely defined actions that strike a perfect balance between durability and performance. So what that means is the tapers along the rods, the bends, it gives us that, I'll call it a faux parabolic bend in just the right places. And ever since I've been throwing this rod, I can't think of a single time I've lost fish on this thing. It has been phenomenal all year long. On the final day of the national championship, it caught me the two fish that I needed to move out of 100th place and let me finish in the mid 80s, and that was pretty awesome. I was really just out there trying to stay out of everybody's way, but when I noticed that none of the pros were coming back to the point that I was fishing the 2 days before, kind of sharing water with, I decided to sit up there and pull out the old jackhammer and went to town. This rod for me all season long has been phenomenal, and I don't know if I can send this one back. We're gonna have to see. I have one more rod that I kind of want to check out, but I don't know if I'll be willing to give this thing up. We'll have to see how it shakes out next spring. But so far, this has been the best chatterbait jackhammer rod that I've tried yet. I have to admit that. Oh yeah, and for the bladed jig rod, there's only one line for me. 12-pound CBR and VizX fluorocarbon. All right, now we're going to move back up the line to the GCX line of rods and get my TRC cover off of here at the Loomis GLX 822S drop shot rod. As with the rest of the Loomis lineup, this thing is incredible. This thing is so sensitive that I don't know, I think sometimes I try to set the hook on something that isn't there because I think I feel something. It is so light. Same Spiral X technology, same Loomis multi-tapering design technology, CI4 reel seat, cork everything, high modulus blank with, again, the multi-taper design, high-end Fuji SIC guides. I mean, this rod is insane as a drop shot rod. I mean, again, another one of those that they make an NRX Plus version of this, but I've heard some people say, why spend the extra money when you can get one of these unless you're just wanting to have an NRX Plus in this. I've got it paired up with the new Shimano Miravel, and I tell you what, you know, you talk about matching your colors perfectly. Yeah, as you can see, it's the same blue. I mean, it's literally like the Miravel was made to pair up with like this GLX rod. But this thing is just crazy. And I've used this for drop shots and Neko rigs primarily. It's just two techniques that I'm very confident in. And again, this thing is so high end, I don't know if I'm going to be able to send it back. I told myself I was only going to keep one out of the 5 of these, but I don't know if I can send this thing back. It is amazing. For my drop shot and eco red applications, and don't ask me why I don't do this with my others, I use straight fluorocarbon, 10-pound Cigar and VizX. Just works for me. And last but not least, we'll take a look at the crankbait rod, because this is a line that Loomis came out with within the last couple of years called the GCX. They wanted something a little more affordable to get people into throwing, you know, trying out the Loomis rods. It's still a super high-end rod because Loomis doesn't make cheap anything. I mean, it's top of the line. This one, a full cork handle. The only thing I really did not like about this rod is for crankbait rod, they made these handles to me way too short. I'm not sure who they were trying to appeal to for crankbaiting. And in the IMX Pro line, they had several crankbait rods, a lot of them with much longer handles. Now, some people may not, you know, it may not really affect a lot of people that much. I guess for me, I like having a longer handle when I'm casting a crankbait, but this, to me, it just seemed like they should offer another option where maybe you can get a longer handle. I mean, that's just me. A lot of people probably fish this and don't even think about anything I said because the reviews on these have been really, really great. I don't throw a ton of crankbaits, so I'm not into investing a ton of money into a technique that I don't throw as much as I do, say, a finesse jig, Texas rig, or my beloved chatterbaits. Our friend Chad Hoover said in a video a couple years ago,
invest the most in the things you use the most. I know it seems like common sense, but I get asked this question all the time. Buy one rod a year, and after 5 years, you've got 5 premium rods. Buy one rod and reel combo a year.
To me, that makes sense. I have 2 techniques that I throw more than anything, and it's true, I've probably invested more in those 2, the chatterbait and a jig, over everything else. But the GCX, same multi-taper design, same Spiral X. I've still got the Berkeley Money Badger on here that I used to catch a couple of bass at our recent charity event, the Turkey Bowl. Awesome event raising money for those in need. This is a great crankbait. I was dragging it through some rock piles and it worked like a champ. Same multi-tapering design, Fuji guides, but just a more affordable version of a Loomis line that is really, really nice. And yep, another MGL 150 Corrado. This one in a 6:2 gear ratio, I think it is. Great reel, paired up very nicely with this Loomis GCX crankbait rod. Really awesome. And the line that I throw on my crankbait rods, 10-pound Cigar Red Label, and I've also used the 10-pound Cigar Basics this year with great success. I've got a lot of tough decisions to make before springtime rolls back around. I keep telling myself I can't bring myself to keep such high-end gear. But after fishing it, I mean, after all, I did upgrade my kayak to the Cadillac. I do know this. I'm going to have a set of rod and reels for fun fishing, bank fishing, stuff that I can really beat up. And I am going to have a collection of somewhat higher end technique specific for those kayak tournaments that I fish. And they'll really only come out on tournament days versus the days I'm out playing around. So which ones am I going to keep and which ones am I going to send back? I won't know, honestly, until I put them in the rod tube and ship them back to Graham and tell him to send me the bill for the rest. We'll just have to see. I really have enjoyed the awesome sensitivity, quality craftsmanship, and hey, rods that are made in America. It's hard to say that with a lot of brands these days. Even the higher end Shimano stuff I'm playing with, still made in China. But you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. Fishin' fam, thanks for stopping by. If you're brand new here, just looking for tips, tricks, reviews, and how-tos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and bang that little bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Until next time, get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.